Action. Hello? Rock. Good evening. I'm wearing boxing. Welcome to LQ News. There is a growing body of research that shows the association between physical activity and academic performance among school-aged children. We have live with us tonight Professor Matt Scientist from the Canadian Institution of Health and Well-Being. Professor, how are we doing today?
I'm well, thank you. Just got in from work. Not home though, not the cottage. But this is well worth my time, given the importance of the subject. We have synthesized the scientific literature that has examined the association between physical activity and academic performance.
Action. So, Professor, how does one define physical activity?
Aaron, physical activity is defined as any bodily movement that increases energy expenditure above resting level.
Professor, the findings show a positive association in the relationship between physical activity and academic performance. With the physical activity restricted to only after-school sports?
No, Warren, not in the least. A positive association was found even in the introduction of a brief physical activities in a classroom setting.
Action. We are now joined live with renowned coach and physical trainer Sherman Stretch. Sherman, what is your take on these studies? Mr. Boxers, when kids participate in at least 60 minutes of physical activity every day, multiple health benefits occur. Sherman, as our lives get more and more demanding and busier, does this present challenges to allocating time for physical activity? Hello? Yeah, for sure, Warren. 67% of kids reported participating in some sports in 1997. That has declined to only 56% a decade later.
Warren, there is substantial evidence that physical activity can help academic performance, including enhancing concentration and attention, as well as improvement and behavior in the classroom. And I have prepared some impressive charts to substantiate these findings. Researchers analyzed test results for more than 2.4 million Texas students in grade 3 to 12 and found significant correlations between physical fitness achievement and better performance on standardized tests. Associations were stronger for cardiovascular fitness than for measure of mass body index, BMI. But the patterns were constant. Here is another study that shows 1,800 Massachusetts middle school students who passed more fitness tests performed better on achievement tests in math and English than did students who had poor fitness test results. When
This chart, the weighted least squares regression coefficient for sit-ups are shown. Those coefficients are the
estimated slope of the linear relationship between scholastic ability and logarithm of sit-ups.
Sherman, what are the implications of the findings in your perspective? Mr. Boxers, schools should be encouraging to increase opportunities for physical activity. 6 to 17-year-olds should be participating in at least 60 minutes of physical activity daily. And schools can provide opportunities for physical activity to help students meet their recommendations. Over half of Canadians' youth are physically inactive. 79% of youth are non-active enough for optimal growth and development. 91% of children ages 5 to 19 do not accumulate the 16,500 daily steps associated with Canadian guidelines.
Wherein studies have shown that teenagers who reported either participating in school-based physical activities or sports teams were 20% more likely than their peers to earn an A or A plus in math or English. Students who participate in sports are less likely to drop out of school and tend to have higher educational aspirations.
It is true, Warren. Increased participation in physical activity is associated with improvement in the classroom and their behavior, as well as increased enthusiasm towards school and schoolwork. It was a pleasure, Warren. Thank you for having me. So I'm talking to who now? The professor. Professor, what is keeping these kids away from the needed physical activity?
Well, Mr. Boxers, students should aim to decrease their screen time. They are spending too much time with behaviors like watching TV vision, chatting on Facebook, which is incomparable with healthier and more active choices. I have more graphs that show results by gender that over 80% of students spend 1 to 3 hours or more a day watching TV or playing video games. Add to that, 68% of students spend 1, 2, 3 or more hours on the phone, texting, or on the internet. This is precious time that could be spent moving around. Thank you for having me, Mr.
Gentlemen, fascinating and informative data. It's so sad to see that only 17% of high school students meet the recommended level of physical activity. I wish we had more time to spend on this subject, but we're all out of time. This is Wearing Boxers, wishing you all a wonderful night from the LQ News. We're out. Good job, boys. Hey, Frank. Good job, man. Good job, Warren. Everything's good. Go.